Welcome back to the final transformation that we're going to talk about. It's rotation. It's definitely the most involved of all of the transformations you're going to see, but I don't think it's necessarily that difficult once you get the hang of it. So the whole idea with rotation is that we're going to take a shape and we're going to rotate it around a point. So for our sake, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the origin. We're going to just use that point as the point that we're going to rotate around. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that point and we're going to rotate 90 degrees at a time. We're going to rotate a shape either clockwise or counterclockwise in order to move the shape and recreate it somewhere else. So the process that we're going to use, it's not that difficult. What we want to do, just like before, we're going to take our pre-image and we're going to write out our coordinates. So we have that here. This is the shape that we're dealing with. We're dealing with a triangle. And what I want you to keep in mind are the quadrants that we use on a coordinate plane. So we break up the coordinate plane into 4 quadrants. We have quadrant 1, which is the top right corner. This is where all of our coordinates are going to be positive, both x and y values. It's positive, positive. So whenever you see a number where you have 2 positive values in your coordinate, it means it's going to be in quadrant 1. Quadrant 2, you're going to see our x values are negative, but our y's stay positive because it's above the x-axis, so our y values are still positive. Quadrant 3, both values are negative, and our final quadrant, quadrant 4, you're going to see the x values that are positive, but our y values are negative. So keeping that in mind, what we're going to try to do is we're going to take this shape and we're going to try to rotate it around clockwise and get back to where we started. So all we really need to do is flip the x and y values, just like we did with reflection, where we were reflecting across the diagonal line y equals x. We're going to flip our x and y values, but we're going to change the sign of one of them in order to get it in the quadrant we want. So if we're going to rotate 90 degrees clockwise, watch what happens. We're going to flip the x and y values, so 1, 2 becomes 2, 1. 4, 2 becomes, 2, 4 becomes 4, 2. And 7, 1 is going to become 1, 7. So that was easy enough. We've now flipped the x and y values. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to get it to appear in this quadrant, because we're going to quadrant 4. So we want to ask ourselves, what sign is changing? Well, it looks like the y value is going to be the one that's changing here. So that's what we're going to change. So we have flipped our x and y values, and now we're going to take our new y value and we're going to make them negative. When we do that, when we plot those new points, watch what you're going to get. We're going to go 2, negative 1. We're going to go 4, negative 2. And we're going to go 1, negative 7. And when you're done with that and you connect your point, you're going to see that same shape and it's been rotated around. Okay, so as it came around, it twisted because it's still centered on this one point. So you can almost imagine it like a pinwheel. You can imagine this part of the pinwheel spinning. That's the direction it would be facing, and that's the location it would be in after a 90-degree rotation. Now we can take our A prime, our B prime, and our C prime, which I should label, and we can rotate that another 90 degrees to get to 180 degrees clockwise. So we'll try that again. Again, we're going to flip our x and y values, so we now get negative 1, 2, negative 2, 4, and negative 7, 1. So we flipped our x and y values, and again, because we're going clockwise, we're going to change the y value. And you'll notice what happened here. We're going to go from positive negative to negative negative. When we flipped it, what we have is a negative positive value. We need to fit it into the third quadrant, so we're going to change the y value, and you'll notice it will then become negative negative. So again, we flip our x and y values, and then we change the y value to make it negative. So we're going to take negative 1 negative 2. We're going to take negative 2, negative 4. And we're going to take negative 7, negative 1. We take those three values. Because this is the second transformation that we're doing, the second rotation, instead of writing it A prime, B prime, and C prime, we're going to write A double prime. So you'll see 2 tick marks. You'll see B double prime, and you'll see C double prime, to show that we've moved it twice now. And you'll notice, you can see what's going on here. You can see it spinning as we rotate our way around that center point. We've got one more to do. So we're going to rotate again. Same process. We flip. So negative 2, negative 1 are x values and y values. Negative 4, negative 2. And then again we flip negative 1, negative 7. And again we're going to change the y value. So when we do that, when we change the y value, what you're going to notice is we now have a negative value and a positive value, just like we should in quadrant 2. So we plot those new points, negative 2, 1, negative 4, 2, negative 1, 7, and this will be A, B, and C triple prime. And when we're done, you'll notice that this shape would have rotated around the origin. And there's our 4 shapes. Now we're not quite done. There's one other thing we should acknowledge, and that's what happens if you're asked to rotate your shape counterclockwise. Well, when you rotate clockwise, you're going around like this. Counterclockwise, you're just going around in the opposite direction. You're going to get the same values, but it's going to be different degree measures. So for instance, 270 degrees clockwise is actually just 90 degrees counterclockwise. So if you needed to go counterclockwise, you would go this way, and I'll show you how to do that momentarily. This is going to be 180 degrees clockwise or counterclockwise, and this will be 270 degrees counterclockwise. Okay? When you're rotating counterclockwise, take a look at what happens when you go from quadrant 1 to quadrant 4 versus quadrant 1 to quadrant 2. Quadrant 1, we went positive, positive. After we flipped, we went positive, negative. If we're going to quadrant 2, if we're going counterclockwise, we're going from positive, positive to negative, positive. So we're still going to flip our x and y values, but what we're going to do is we're going to flip our x and y values, and then we're going to change the x value if we want to go counterclockwise. So you'll notice we'd flip this, we'd get 2, 1, change the x value, it's now negative 2, 1. Flip this, get 4, 2, change the x value, it's now negative 4, 2. Flip this, get 1, 7, change the x value, it's now negative 1, 7. And it'll work the same way whether you're working this way counterclockwise or you're working this way clockwise. So that's the idea behind rotation. That's all there is to it. Hopefully you've got something in front of you you can practice on. If you get stuck, again, watch the video, check in with me. I'll be around for extra help at some point. Until then, I'll see you next time.